The Federal Ministry of Defense is saddled with the statutory responsibility of overseeing and supervising the Nigerian armed forces. But how effectively and professionally efficient has the ministry performed in the last years on national security? Join us as we talk with the Federal Minister of Defense. You're still watching the Minister's platform, and right away we're going to be speaking with the Honorable Minister of one of the very powerful and strategic federal ministries in the country, solely in charge of national security. We're talking about the Ministry of Defense. It's my pleasure to welcome the Honorable Minister of Defense, Major General Bashiru Salihi Magashi, retired. Honorable Minister of Defense, you're welcome, sir. We're quite glad to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister, your ministry is a very strategic one, and the principal task of the Defense Ministry is to provide policy directions of the government on all defense and security-related matters. So in the light of this, Minister, what is the defense policy thrust of the ministry and the Defense Ministry Master Plan of President Muhammadu Buhari-led government?
Well, the policy thrust of the Ministry of Defense under this administration, and indeed all administration, is guided mainly by the Nigerian constitutions and national defense policy. These documents clearly marked out the tasks for this ministry, particularly in those peculiar times in our national history. The ministry's policies thrust are thus mainly coordinate and supervise the defense headquarters, the three services, as well as parastatals and agencies to end insurgency in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, and other forms of insecurity in Nigeria. It is also to secure Nigeria territorial water and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, protect Nigerian oil installations on shore and offshore, as well as develop and maintain central security database amongst all security agencies. Others are to develop an effective and functional defense industry, actively collaborate with the private sector to create a large number of well-paying jobs for Nigerian youth through defense industrial efforts and collaboration with other security agencies to ensure domestic security.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Well, how well has the Ministry of Defense, under your watch, been able to provide the much expected administrative and support services to actually help the armed forces to build and maintain a modern, compact, strong, professional, capable, and mission-ready force for the defense of the country?
Well, let me reiterate our appreciation to Mr. President for his unwavering support and vision. Under his leadership, we have greatly improved the capacity of our armed forces. We must, however, appreciate that the armed forces in recent times has had to adapt to various multi-dimensional threats which it was not traditionally trained for. Our focus has been to provide strategic guidance to ensure the services evolve quickly to effectively address these threats. The service chiefs understand this, and to this effect, we have made several policy changes and reviews. We are currently implementing the recommendation of the Armed Forces Reform Committee Act, and in the last 2 years have approved several structure and doctrinal changes in respective services. These changes are being systematically implemented, and we continue to assess our capabilities and make necessary adjustments. To a very large extent, I believe we have been able to provide the armed forces with both administrative and support services to meet their objectives.
The Ministry of Defense was established on the 1st of October 1958 with the statutory responsibility of overseeing the defense profile of the country from the perspective of the armed forces. But considering the current security architecture of the country, how best has the ministry practically upheld that statutory responsibility?
Well, the Ministry of Defense has played an important role in nation building, peace and security since its establishment in 1958 with Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as the first Minister of Defense. It is generally believed that the British left Nigeria with a bloodless legal transfer of power. However, as you are aware, the evolution of the modern-day Nigeria that we see today was not smooth affair, particularly in the light of the current security challenges. However, the Ministry of Defense has continued to evolve in similar fashion to defend the territorial integrity of the nation states against external and internal threats. I will therefore say with all sense of humility that the Ministry of Defense has discharged its statutory responsibility satisfactorily. As you are all aware, internal security is presently the most serious challenges to our national security, with our armed forces currently battling communal and sectorial clashes, secessionist groups, militants, and other antisocial elements around the nation. In response to this, the Ministry of Defense, as the supervisory ministry of the armed forces, has continued to evolve new innovative solutions geared towards building capability and capacity of the armed forces through policy guidelines, platforms, and equipment acquisition. Also, training as well as logistics support, to mention just a few of them.
Fantastic, Honorable Minister. Now, one of the mandates of the Defense Ministry is to maintain a proper balance in arms and men to meet the needs of internal and external security. But looking at the state of insecurity in the country, can we say that the Defense Ministry, under your watch, has been able to live up to these mandates?
Military equipment and manpower are critical components of the armed forces in dealing with the prevailing security situation in the country. It is, however, important to note that the military equipments are either expendable or degradable and requires constant replacement or upgrade, particularly in the case of asymmetric warfare. Given these characteristics, it will be a wrong notion to presume that armed forces will be adequately equipped in total to deal with asymmetric warfare as we are currently facing in Nigeria until the security threat ceases to exist. But notwithstanding that, this administration has procured many modern military equipments and platforms in line with the current acquisition drive to boost the capacity and capability of our armed forces. Notably, for the Nigerian Army, this administration has procured several VT-4 main battle tanks, STI light-wheeled tanks, mines-resisting ambush protection vehicles, armor repair recovery vehicles, and minesweepers. Others are troops-carrying vehicles, ground radar surveillance equipment, advanced tactical geolocation platform catcher, mortars, artillery weapons, as well as various caliber of guns and ammunition. Similarly, for the Nigerian Navy, we have acquired several offshore patrol boats, fast patrol boats, hydrographic survey ships, AW-139 helicopters, and various calibers of guns and ammunition. Also, for the Nigerian Air Force, this administration have acquired Super Tucano aircraft, Augusta 109 and 137 helicopters, MI-35M helicopters, Super Muskrat helicopters, several armed aerial vehicles, as well as various caliber of guns, bombs, and ammunition. I can confidently therefore say that the overall capability of the armed forces has been massively enhanced over the last 6 years, and we are gradually reaping the benefits of these improvements. Similarly, on the issue of manpower, the federal government has continuously improved the manpower intake and training of the armed forces to meet its manpower demands.